plan? Because some former Treasury people say, no, it really doesn't exist. Why do we know about this plan?
You know, there were transcripts from the Fed released in January of this year at a 5-year lag. The transcripts show what happened on a conference call on August 1st, 2011, where Fed officials were briefed about a plan that the Fed staff and Treasury officials together had put together. It's a contingency plan should the Treasury Department need to prioritize debt payments if the ceiling is breached.
So do we have a sense of what the priorities would be under this plan? Who gets paid first, who might not get paid at all, or be paid less or get paid later?
You know, a lot of the details are unclear. Those would have to be decided by whatever president or Treasury Secretary decide to enact the plan. But, you know, certain debt holders, like payments to employees, other worldwide creditors of American debt, would see that their payments are deferred.
And do we have a sense of what the consequences would be? First of all, would it be clear that this would not be a default if, in fact, there was prioritization? Is it possible that could be construed as a default in and of itself?
You know, it could be. There's no consensus over whether prioritization does constitute a default. Treasury Secretary Jack Lew, when he was in office, he said that prioritization is basically a default by another name, but at the same time, Fitch disagrees. But both Moody's and Fitch both say that if there was a prioritization of debt, they would have to review whether the U.S. needed a different credit rating.
So Saleha, in your piece, you quote one rates expert from Citi, actually, who said this would be a really bad idea. It's Steve Kang. He is an interest rate strategist at Citigroup, and he says, quote, using prioritization would set up a dangerous precedent. If Treasury goes to it, then people are probably going to bake in another prioritization 2 years, 3 years down the line when the debt ceiling issue comes back. It wouldn't bode too well. So this is interesting. What he's saying, as I understand it, is the markets would adapt and say, okay, if you can do it once, you can do it all the time, so we don't have to worry about it quite so much.
Yeah, and the root of that is really that Congress would adapt. That's probably the main reason that such a plan was kept secret, that they don't want to acknowledge that this plan existed, because if Congress gets a whiff that there is more time that they can bridge an impasse with prioritization, then they'll take even longer. The political fallout would pressure them to act, but still it would be a prioritization which could mean a downgrading of U.S. credit. And once a precedent is set, it can be repeated easily.
So,
wow, huh? How about that? So, why am I doing this video? Well, because most people find debt prioritization and the debt ceiling to be about as exciting as eating glass. But there's something very serious here, folks, that I'm trying to communicate to you. And here's the deal. When you start hearing the politicians increasing the debt limit, right? How many times have we heard this? This is a problem, and it's a big problem, and I'm going to tell you why. So many of you, excuse me for this, have heard about the world is supposed to end in September. It's not going to end in September. Listen, I don't know how many times I have heard this. It seems like every year, whether it was the 4 blood moons or, you know, it was an asteroid. Listen, the only thing that's going to destroy the world is us. And here's the deal, folks. Debt. All of us have debt. Why? Because we're in a system where debt is the norm. But it's not, and it never should have been, and it never should be. Because it's the one thing that's going to take down this country and most likely cause a complete worldwide calamity. Here's the deal, folks. Since 2011, the United States has been monetizing our debt. And this is the official definition of what monetizing the debt is. It is thus a two-step process where the government issues debt, government bonds, to cover its spending, and the central bank purchase the debt, holding it until it comes due and leaving the system with an increased supply of money. Now, on the surface, that would seem good. You've got an increased supply of money, means people who are starting businesses, who need financing, there should be, in fact, enough supply for money. Well, That's not what happened. And in essence, really what monetizing the debt is this. You have the Federal Reserve, which is a quasi-private government corporation, who, for some reason, and by the way, the United States is the only country that does this, where we let this independent corporation somehow or another print our money and then have the graciousness to turn and then charge us interest on our own money. Now, if that isn't insanity, I don't know what is. The Fed should be declared an illegal Ponzi scheme. Bottom line, ever since Jekyll Island that this took place, and when the United States was at that point taken over, literally, it's what it was. It was a quiet revolution. When you allow someone to control your money, who controls you? The person who controls your money. The question is, why would you allow someone to control your money when you're the one who owns it? Figure that one out. Let's go on. So, since 2009, when the Obama administration came in, and if y'all remember that meeting that took place back in 2008, do you remember that? That is when, remember this, when John McCain suspended his campaign and Barack Obama never did, but he took off the campaign trail. They went to the White House to meet with then sitting President George Bush. And this was an economic crisis. What you don't realize, folks, we were hours, and I do mean hours, away from a total financial collapse. And ever since then, this is what's been happening. The monetary policy of this country has so put us into I don't think that the course can be changed. I think the inevitability is that there is going to be a collapse. But let's get more to the point where this concerns you. Savings account. You own one? You better listen. You own an IRA? You better listen. You own stocks and bonds? You better listen. In 2009, as I said, the U.S. was hours away from default. In 2011, when this, I don't know what you want to call it, the secret plan, oh my God, if we have to use this plan, the fact of the matter is it is now legal in the United States for the United States government to seize all personal assets of all American citizens. That means you will wake up one morning, most likely in October, and you're going to check your bank account, and you're going to suddenly see that the money that you had in your savings, your IRA, has now been replaced with a little email message saying, "Dear depositor, we are aware that you may be alarmed at seeing what has happened to your money. We, the American government, have taken your money in order to sustain our spending. However, don't think that we have stolen your money, because we're giving you this piece of paper, this bond, that says at some future time, we'll pay your money back." There it is, folks. Yeah, dig it. All you dyed-in-the-wool people who tattoo on your head, your ass, and everywhere else that you're a Democrat or a Republican, you're the fault of this. You are. You voted those thieves in. They stole us blind. They made sure that their pockets were well lined. Listen, when they leave Congress, they don't have to worry about things. They get that monthly check, and it's a big one. And oh, by the way, all their insurance is paid. And do you know they got even more perks? Yeah. Boy, wouldn't you like to run for Congress? How about Senate? They're thieves, folks. They're thieves. And the more you people continue to reelect them, you got to understand, you are a putz. Yeah, you're a putz. Because you continue to allow this to go on. I'm a putz. We're all a bunch of putzes. Because these assholes have destroyed us. Now, you can continue to drink your coffee lattes and your mochas and everything else, talk on your cell phone and text away. Oh, let's do some hate videos and let's try to see, let's see if we can scare people more. Yeah, you know what? That's all for your entertainment. Because in the meantime, the reality of the situation is the United States government is picking your pocket clean. And when the time comes, and it is coming, when you realize this, you are not going to be happy. And you're going to look for someone to blame. And here is where you go to look for someone to blame. Go into the bathroom, look into the mirror, and take a marker and write, "That idiot's to blame." All right, folks, be kind to one another. Have fun.